Dear Rade, what have you thought all these years, after 888 days have passed times 2? That I've forgotten Sarajevo? That I failed to fulfill my promise to you? That I'm just another foreigner who came and went and used Sarajevo for my own purposes?
Okay, I'm going to start with the basics. Tell me what your name is.
No.
And what you're doing.
And what I'm doing?
Yeah.
This project? My name is Alexis Gibson. Why do I need to do that?
I'm asking you the questions. You have to answer.
Okay. I'm making a film in an attempt to convey a very long process that I went through. And what's very important to me is that it's not just a process that I went through. Anyone could have gone through that process. In this case, it just happens to be me. But I think the process itself is very important.
Now, when I think about getting away for a vacation or a trip somewhere, I'm not thinking Sarajevo. That's where I want to be.
You should.
I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm thinking, okay, Virgin Islands, that looks pretty good. California, wine country, that sounds pretty nice. Why did you go to Sarajevo?
I went to Sarajevo because I absolutely felt compelled to go there. I had been living in Europe in the 90s. During the time when the war broke out, I was in the Czech Republic. It's really not far from former Yugoslavia. And I was asking myself exactly that question. How is it possible that a war is being fought on European soil after we just, in this century, speaking of the 20th century, already lived through 2 absolutely horrifying wars, which started and ended in Europe for the most part. And here it's happening again. How is it possible? Something told me I had to go there because I knew that the only way I could answer that question was to be there. A few weeks after I arrived in Sarajevo, I woke up pale, ill. I went to work anyway, saying to myself, who am I to complain when everyone else in this city managed to survive much worse conditions than the ones I happen to be facing now? Later that day, even weaker, I fainted. I opened my eyes to see you and Stravka slapping my face to bring me back to consciousness. In the hospital, the staff insisted on giving me an injection they called a vitamin cocktail. I was so frightened and tense that they were unable to find the vein in my arm and accused me of being uncooperative, as if I were doing it to them on purpose. Pope John Paul II arrived in Sarajevo not more than a few weeks after I did. It was April then, still snowing. He spoke to a large crowd in the city's Zetra Stadium, just next to the Olympic soccer fields, which had become graveyards during the war. A week or two earlier, posters of the smiling Pope had appeared all over town. "S vama smo," they said. "We are with you." They could often be found in close proximity to pleas posted by the International Red Cross. "Open your eyes. Tell us what you've seen. Families of missing persons need your help. The Red Cross needs your testimony."
Just to get some of the basic questions here, what did you actually do when you were there?
In Sarajevo, I worked for the general manager of one radio station, Radio Zid, which was started during the war by basically artists and intellectuals who saw a desperate need for an outlet which would be a voice of reason in the middle of a lot of war propaganda.
You speak of Radio Zid, is that right? What does Zid mean?
Zid means wall in Bosnian. The founders of the radio station named the station Radio Zid because they saw these walls or barriers existing between people of different creeds, ethnicities, nationalities. They seemed to be only growing higher and higher with the outbreak of the war. And Zid's intention was to both expose those walls and overcome them through their creative work on the air. probably know that when I returned to the States in August of '97, I was at a loss for words. What I had seen and lived in Sarajevo those 5.5 months was pulsing through my core. I had let the life force of Bosnia flow through me, which meant feeling not only your joys, but your pain. I longed to speak about what I had experienced, but I could not. I only felt something stronger and heavier than I had ever felt before. For 4 years, I was paralyzed. I processed the negatives, printed the contact sheets, the photographs. I stared at them. They stared at me. I was as if frozen. The week before I left Sarajevo, you and I sat down to discuss the future. You pulled out a clean sheet of paper, wrote the number 888 on it, and asked me if I knew why. I didn't. Alexis, you said, there are 888 days between now and the year 2000. What are you going to do between now and then? How will you continue to collaborate with us? What will you do with what Sarajevo has given you? For a long time, I thought I had to do something concrete for you, Zdravka, Radio Zid, Sarajevo. I interpreted 888 days very literally. But over time, I began to understand that your challenge had meant something else. The best way I could ensure that your investment in me would not be in vain was to develop myself as a human being, to become strong, to do something in the world, not squander my life. Sarajevo should be a milestone in my life, not an endpoint. It was then that this story stopped being about Bosnia and began to transcend it. Not long ago, a well-known photojournalist warned me not to be naive, not to think that our photographs have the power to change anything. This man has photographed every major war zone of the past 15 years. I asked him why he bothers at all if he has no confidence in the power of his work. If his photographs have no purpose behind them other than to provide his daily bread, then it seems to me they only serve to perpetuate the suffering to which he's witness. I remember you once said to me, "To survive is all you can ask for here. You must be satisfied with that." No, Rade, I will never be satisfied with that. And I don't believe you will be either. This story is not really about Radio Zid, about what happened in Bosnia a decade ago. It's not even only about war. Ultimately, this story is about cultivating an internal state of life so strong, so indomitable, that it resembles the stillness in the depths of the ocean, unfazed by the waves pounding high above on the surface. It's about refusing to settle for less than that, about fighting with every cell in your being to win over the negativity inside you, which would have you believe that such a state of life is not possible. And it was you, Rade, who first planted that seed in me. I send this letter with my appreciation and respect. Alexis.